Each player chosen for this video were somehow selected after the first 10 picks in their class, and went on to be some of the most elite basketball talents us fans have ever seen. You're about to find out the 10 greatest NBA draft steals of all time. Welcome, this is D-Flow Hoops. If you're new here and craving for NBA stories, hot takes, and predictions, be sure to subscribe. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss the content I've got coming up. Number 1, Manu Ginobili. It would have been impossible to assume the best player from 1999's NBA draft would come in the form of an Argentinian wing who was selected 57th overall. The then known as Emmanuel Ginobili stayed overseas to play professionally in Italy after he was drafted, finally coming over to San Antonio in the 2002-2003 season. As his time with the Spurs progressed, he became one of the clutchest killers in basketball and one of the NBA's most popular players as well. Simply one of the coldest, craftiest shooting guards of this generation, Manu went on to be the 2008 Sixth Man of the Year, a two-time All-Star/NBA player, and he heavily contributed to 4 NBA championships. Number 2, Dennis Rodman. Playing in not the NCAA but the NAIA in college, after playing at Southeastern Oklahoma State University, the Pistons snagged a man who'd go on to be the 24th best rebounder of all time at pick number 27. Known for his unorthodox but proving to be intimidating personality, Rodman's brute force and energy terrified his opponents inside. His first All-Star appearance occurred in the year he helped secure the Pistons their second straight title. Ultimately, Rodman went on to be a 7-time rebounding champ, Defensive Player of the Year in 1990 and 91, and a 5-time NBA champion. Number 3, Steve Nash, fellow Canadian and white point guard. Come on, man. Steve's path to being an all-time great point guard was unforeseen. The man had 0 scholarship offers after high school, and the only way he got attention from a D1 school was by mailing his film tape to Santa Clara. At that school, he won West Coast Conference Player of the Year 3 times, then entered the draft following his senior year and got picked 15th by the Suns in 1996. The first few years in the pros for the limited athlete were very rough, and the Suns moved their raw point guard to Dallas, where next to Dirk Nowitzki, his game reached new heights. For 4 years, the duo became one of the greatest guard-big tandems of the 2000s, and had a lot of fans asking what would have happened if Nash re-signed with the Mavs in 2004. But after 6 years in Texas, it was back to Arizona for the 30-year-old Steve, where he'd add 2 MVP trophies and 5 assist-leading seasons to his resume. Unfortunately, he could never win a title, and watched Dallas win a ring in 2011. Regardless, Nash's heart, talent, and other accolades should leave you remembering him as an iconic floor general. Number 4, Clyde Drexler. In the 1983 NBA draft, 10 players who'd go on to never see an All-Star appearance throughout their careers were selected ahead of a talent with one of the smoothest games we've ever witnessed. Because of that seamless ability to score off the dribble, combined with dominant hops, the 14th pick Drexler earned the nickname of Clyde the Glide. Throughout his time in Portland, he helped the Blazers to some of their best years ever, and he became the only guard from the 1983 NBA draft to make the Hall of Fame. Clyde's one of the more dominant scorers of his generation. He made USA's Dream Team in '92 that much more unstoppable and led the Blazers to the finals in 1990 and 1992. Number 5, Karl Malone. Prior to producing the second most amount of buckets in NBA history, Malone saw the hyped-up prospect in his position, Patrick Ewing, get selected first overall, and then 12 other players picked ahead of him in 1985's draft. He then went on to play 19 seasons, 18 of them being with Utah, where only in 2 years of his career did Karl average under 20 points per game. When Malone caught a pass from Stockton and rolled down the lane with reckless abandon, his mix of strength and length made him a hopeless task to stop. Of course, he was also a lethally finessed post scorer. Similarly to Nash, he was a 2-time league MVP who never got a ring. Unlike Steve, he made the finals twice, but got his heart stolen by MJ, which there's no shame in. Jazz fans can thank their beastly post scorer for their glory years atop the West, and the rest of us can consider him a top power forward of all time. Quickly before the next 5, 2 shoutouts to Kartik Sath and Ronto. Ronto says DeMar DeRozan's the most likely to get traded because his talents are wasted on the Spurs, and the video before that, Kartik Sath said Kawhi Leonard's shot is most memorable. Some great takes all over the place. Earn yearly awards by answering the shoutout question coming up. Number 6, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Before the Greek became a freak, 14 teams passed on him when he entered the league in 2013. Because Lucas Nogueira and Shabazz Muhammad were taken directly before him, both of whom are out of the league, Milwaukee was able to snag their franchise player for the next decade. Giannis was a raw prospect who had the perfect size and length for GM's liking, but didn't have anywhere near the adequate skill to be a lottery pick. That showed in his rookie year, where he averaged just 6.7 points per game and shot 41% from the field. However, as the years have gone on, throughout his 7-year tenure, Antetokounmpo's steadily progressed into debatably the best player in basketball, visibly adding significant strength and snatching the reputation of this generation's most dominant slasher, in my opinion. His work ethic in off seasons is evidently outstanding, as every year he's brought something new to the table and vamped his efficiency. The fact that he's likely getting the chance to put in endless reps from deep quarantining in his home gym could be massive for the Bucks heading into either a resumed 2020 season or 2021. Giannis's percentage did tail off, but he showed real progress in his confidence, triggering it from three-point range for a good part of the season. At 25 years old, the Greek Freak's already an MVP, MIP, All-Defensive First Team, 3-time All-NBA player, and 4-time All-Star. What a damn good steal. Number 7, George Gervin. Drafted 40th by the Suns in 1974, Gervin instead decided to stay with his ABA team, the San Antonio Spurs, and it wasn't until the 1976 NBA-ABA merger that our league would get to see a top small forward of all time. With a layup package that inspired multiple generations of hoopers, if the San Antonio Spurs legend the Iceman was anywhere near the bucket, you can bet he'd find a way to convert, no matter how contested the shot was. In any era of the NBA, his long 6'8" frame on the wing with the soft touch would make Gervin an elite talent. The 10-time All-Star George could occasionally turn around in the post for a jumper or shoot a mid-range J, but the majority of his buckets came from craftily maneuvering his way to the paint. Because of that, Gervin finished his career a 4-time scoring champion. Number 8, Kawhi Leonard. The Pacers could have had one of the greatest lockdown defenders on the wing in NBA history, and a generationally great shot creator on the other end. Instead, Indiana traded the Claw after they drafted him 15th in 2011 to the San Antonio Spurs for George Hill. From that year until 2017, Kawhi was an integral perimeter stopper in San Antonio's system, shooting 44% from three-point range in 2016, winning Finals MVP in 2014, no big deal there, and carrying the Spurs all the way to a Game 1 beatdown of the Warriors in 2017's West Finals. That playoff run, of course, came until Kawhi tragically came down on Zaza Pachulia's foot, making Zaza the most hated player in the league, but ending Kawhi's season. That was Leonard's last game healthy in a Spurs uniform. 2017-18, he played just 9 games, then he was traded north of the border. However, instead of complaining like almost any other American basketball star would coming to Toronto, Kawhi embraced the city and the Raptors system to the point where by playoff time, he was lighting teams up like it was nothing. He hit a decent shot I headlined 2 weeks ago in a top 15. That shot was in the midst of a playoffs where he tallied the 3rd most amount of points in a single playoffs ever, only trailing LeBron James and Michael Jordan. Number 9, John Stockton. Drafted 16th in 1984, John didn't seem to be a steal in his first 3 pro campaigns, where he averaged under 8 points. It was in his 4th season after taking over for Ricky Green in the starting lineup, where Stockton began to establish himself as the greatest passer of all time. From 87 until 97, he put up an unheralded 10 straight seasons of averaging 10+ assists per game. His quarterbacking nature was on point, where he could start fast breaks with passes that only he was capable of making, and he set up Karl Malone by brilliantly drawing the defense time and time again. Not only is John Stockton the all-time leader in assists, which is a lead that's nearly 4,000 ahead of any other player, but he's still the NBA's record holder in total steals. So, I'm sorry, but this video made by my guy, Rusty Buckets, could be the most ridiculous take by any NBA YouTuber. If only Stockton and Malone had the proper talent around them, and they would have had multiple rings, but to disrespect an all-time great's legacy like that comes off as completely immature. Before number 10, quickly I'll say there could easily be a part 2 for this list. I considered these players the most, and they're my honorable mentions though. Alex English, Tony Parker, Nikola Jokic, and Rajon Rondo. Number 10, Kobe Bryant. saving the greatest for last. The only steal here is how the Los Angeles Lakers played the Charlotte Hornets. However, I know Kobe was a seemingly overly emotional kid coming straight from high school, but for 12 teams to have passed on the soon-to-be second-best shooting guard ever is pretty insane. Getting an 18-year-old Bryant to LA in the first place, though, was another tremendous swindle from Jerry West. The Lakers front office knew what Kobe Bryant could become, so they worked out a pre-draft trade with the Charlotte Hornets for Charlotte to select Bryant at number 13 and the Lakers to give up just Vlade Divac. Divac only scored 13 the previous season and ended up making just one All-Star team. Kobe's legacy played out just a bit differently. The Black Mamba morphed from an average player in his rookie and sophomore years into the most iconic figure in basketball for the next 20 years. The 18-time All-Star, 15-time All-NBA player, 12-time All-Defensive Team player, 5-time NBA champion, 2-time scoring champion, and MVP won't only be remembered for his once-in-a-lifetime clutch play and all he did on the court, but how he was raising a young phenom in Gianna who could have saved the WNBA in half a decade. Just from watching a few highlights, it's clear she had every element in her game from finesse to toughness to do just that. Let's all never stop honoring both of their legacies that were taken far too soon from us with our perseverance and dedication to what we love. Thumbs up for part 2 of this list. You see the question. This was your boy D Flow. I'll see you next video.